We got to give Rand a hand. First, it was this.
I will speak as long as it takes until the alarm is sounded from coast to coast that our Constitution is important.
Then this.
I was told I got 10 measly minutes. But just in case, I bought 13 hours worth of information. I say not one penny more to countries that are burning our flag. Does it really take $3 million to discover that monkeys, like humans, act crazy on meth? Ask the Facebook generation if they want to bail out too big to fail banks with their tax dollars, and you'll hear a hell no.
Now Kentucky Senator Rand Paul is saying, oh yeah, topping dozens of established conservatives to win CPAC's 2013 straw poll. Now, ahead of our live interview with the senator on Wednesday, to townhall.com's Katie Pavlich right now. Katie, is this an urgent wake-up call for the party as well?
It's an urgent wake-up call, but it's also a shift. We're now seeing Rand Paul move into the front. Chris Christie has been on the tip of everyone's tongue for a long time now, but guess what? He didn't win the straw poll. Rand Paul kind of follows in his father's footsteps. His father won 2 years in a row, starting in 2010, I believe. Romney won last year, and now we have Rand Paul, who has really proven that he's a different kind of politician. I think people at CPAC really felt like he's not selling himself, but he's selling a message of freedom and liberty and freedom from the government and overregulation, which is resonating with young people, as we saw with his win on Saturday.
You know, he's also challenging the party establishment and sort of, you know, ruffling some feathers, yes, including the people who organized CPAC, you know, bemoaning about the time he was allotted to speak. Does that boomerang on him, though, and come back to hurt him, or what do you think?
I don't think so. We see the GOP, you know, they have the report that came out today, trying to rebrand themselves and find out what went wrong. And what went wrong is we've been embracing these establishment candidates for a long time. First it was John McCain, then it was Mitt Romney, and they're really seeing that Rand Paul is popular. He's able to connect with the Facebook generation, which, as we saw in both the 2008 and 2012 elections, has a huge impact on the way that people vote. He talks in terms of freedom and deregulation, and young people really like that message. And he gave examples of, look, do we really need to be spending your hard-earned money researching monkeys and how they act on meth? I mean, these are common sense things that he's able to communicate to young people and voters as a whole.
But he's also one of those who advocates doing a lot more cutting a lot sooner than the party establishment has. We just spoke at the beginning of this broadcast, Katie, about the likes of John Boehner and Paul Ryan saying, you know, the debt crisis isn't an immediate crisis. Even Paul Ryan's plan, though, it calls for getting us out of these deficits in 10 years. Senator Paul has said, I could do it in 5. What do you make of that?
I think he could, and he's put forward plans in the past that show that he can. And he really, like I said, going back to the communication factor, he knows how to communicate to people how out of control the government is, whether it's sending money to people who are burning our flag or spending money and giving money to college students to come up with a menu about how we're going to eat on Mars. I mean, he really has an ability to communicate to young people and voters as a whole what's important and what isn't. And we've really seen him become this hybrid of a candidate, right? He's a Republican, but he also has this libertarian base, which I think is something that Republicans for a long time have actually been striving for, but they just haven't found the right candidate. And as of right now, Rand Paul looks like he's on his way.
You know, obviously ruffled John McCain's feathers, and John McCain, with me just the other day, kind of apologized for how far this got. I want you to react to this.
In an interview, I said that Senator Paul and Senator Cruz were wacko birds. That was inappropriate, and I apologize to them for saying that because I respect them both. I respect what they stand for and what they believe in.
I still sense there's friction, though, between the establishment and maybe the new up-and-comers. What do you think?
Absolutely. You asked me the question earlier if Rand Paul kind of going against the establishment, calling in a subtle dig to John McCain that the GOP establishment has grown moss on itself. It's boomeranged against the establishment. You know, I'm glad John McCain apologized, but calling people names and saying that Rand Paul simply had an impact on libertarians living in their dorm rooms was false. It's inaccurate, and it's not going to help the GOP move forward if they really want to start winning elections, especially with younger voters. So I'm glad to see that John McCain apologized.
No, it is odd. John McCain was a maverick for taking on the Republican leadership, but quite the opposite today. But
Yes.
such is our environment. Katie, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.